You know what? People demanding that I copy them and copywritten, uh, it makes me laugh because I don't listen to anybody. I don't listen to any preachers. And I think about God's wisdom and how wonderful He is because everybody that knows me knows that I don't listen to preachers. I don't listen to the YouTube. I don't listen to anybody. So therefore, how do you copy somebody when you don't listen to anybody? I don't watch any videos. Once in a while, I told you, God will say, well, Marian, look at this, and I will look at it. And it might be 2 minutes, or it might be a minute, but I will see something that confirms what I'm doing, but not, or something that confirms what I don't do. But I never watch anything to say that I copied them. So I believe and I know that all these things are a lie. And if they think I'm going to be afraid of them, be worried, or, you know, I don't do that stuff. God has always taken care of me, always. And why should I worry about what people say, think, or do and how they lie? It's, I'm not there and I'm not going to go there. Right now, this is, we're in the process of truly getting out of here. And I have a lot of people to say goodbye to. And I don't have a whole bunch of friends here, but I do have some that are very valuable friends that we will probably continue to communicate. And the thing that I love about what God has done is no sooner than we walk out the door, the owner of this house will be here with whoever is with her. And so it'll never be unoccupied, period. So I think that's wonderful. And oh my goodness, I'm so tired. We worked so hard. But the wonderful thing about it is, boy, were we given strength. And thank you, everyone, for praying for us. I think that this thing of all the work that we had to do here has been so good for us. I think at a time in our life that God chose to do this, that He chose a way to get us up off our feet where we could have never done it with exercise. We could have never, but it just strengthens us so much. And in our new home, it's going to strengthen us so much. So God's infinite wisdom is unbelievable in how He works out every detail to the second. And people want me to worry and concern myself because they accused me of something, or because there has never been a time that I ever had to worry. And, you know, um, I'm thinking about the times that I go through things, and it's like there are people that they'll get real angry, they'll get real upset, and they'll get to a place where they'll blame God and say, "Why did you let this happen to me? Why did I am?" God knows the wonderful thing about having a real relationship with God is those things never cross your mind. No matter what you go through, you know that your Redeemer lives and that He has a reason and a purpose for all that you go through. And so you follow Him no matter what anybody says, and you enjoy your walk with Him. and you're having great joy while other people are frustrating themselves, trying to hurt you, trying to destroy you. It's a wonderful place to be. And that's a place I'm praying that all of you find. Because I know with all my heart it's that connection to God, that knowledge, an understanding that once you hit a certain threshold of love with God, there's no reversal in it. There's no changing in it. There's no stopping it. It's a place of complete and absolute trust. Nothing ever hits your heart. Oh, why? Oh, goodness gracious, Lord, you are so wonderful. The joy that you bring in the morning is so wonderful. Oh, and just like I tell so many, okay, if you want to go that path, have at it. You know, some people are so ignorant of understanding of who and what God is. And they think that their reactions and the things that they say and the things that they do will affect him, will manipulate him, will hurt him, or even cause him great joy because they are very ignorant of who he is. And so, if someone thinks they need, well, I had to pause. We're getting on the last legs of going. But like I said, there are so many benefits to striving to know God. And there are so many things that the enemy thinks that he can imitate this relationship. And this is what makes me laugh too. Because all of the games that have been played with God for all of these years, all of these lies that have been told, and all of these things that have been taught that were not of God, that kept people down to a place where they could never have a relationship, that kept women boxed up into a corner and crushed so that they could never come out and know that the Lord loves them far beyond what their husband can do for them, far beyond anything that anybody could say or do, because he died for them just like he died for the man. And this is what they forget. This is what they seem to forget, that God died for all of mankind. A child can go to God and have a relationship from the time they are wee little till the time they leave the earth, maybe at 100 years old. And nobody can interfere with that. Nobody can touch that. God is never going to allow you or anybody else, and I know there's people listening to me, to touch what he built up in here and here with someone. And because they didn't know and understand how much they could really have with God, the enemy came along and took advantage through people. And just like me, I wound up for years looking down, frustrated, in pain and in misery and lack of understanding. And always, no matter where you went and no matter what you did, always the enemy hovered through people in authority telling you, you'll never have anything because you didn't do it this way and you didn't go that way and you should have done this and the Bible means this. This is what he means. And none of them, I'm telling you, none of them really ever walked with God. And there are some that walk with God and talk with God and have a relationship with God. And they're like a remnant of people that God took aside and kept to himself. And there's not a single man in any of them that would dare try to tell a woman some of the garbage that these doctrines are trying to work on a woman. Well, I guarantee you that the enemy is after the woman, but he's after the woman through the church, not in spite of the church, not around the church. It's in the church. Oh, I could tell you stories of how the moment I walked through the church, how I was targeted. And I was targeted for more reasons than one. It was not only because I was a single woman and my husband wasn't in church with me, but I went to a lot of different churches looking for a pastor who really lived what he said he believed. And I did not find very many. Oh, I found them now, probably after probably after 40 years. They started coming into my life where they could recognize God, and they meant business. They would never even think to do what some of these pastors did. So I'm not against church and I'm not against pastors. I'm against people well, I'm not even against people. I am against the things that they use and do to claim God while they literally hate God. Because that is insanity. That's why I wrote it in a book and published it in 2007, was to make it clear that the very things that they say they have and they do are the very things that inside they work against God to make sure no one else can have it, no one else can do it. I mean, it's unbelievable how everything is geared to it. And because they have a system, and I'm telling you, just like the world has a system, just like over here, they have a system set up in their hierarchy that says if you go this way, it's not of God. If you go that way, it's not of God. If you go this way, it's not of God. And they label everybody to be exactly what they think. And because they think they are in power of authority, this is where the Bible says that you tested those that called themselves a prophet, uh, called themselves an apostle, and you found them to be liars. This is where God warned us that they would do this, but it was fixed so that you would keep your eyes here and never find God and look for him over here because you could not find him. Because once you looked up here, you'd see the truth. Once you went up to that level of understanding, you would never see the truth. So you could never have God because you are not. Like I said, God, and I use one man as example. God took him from the time he was little and worked with him, just him and God. And because it wasn't seen in the eyes of these preachers and this, they assumed he didn't have God. Because people like me who were reborn with God and they never saw it. And these people worked it everywhere, did far more than any one of these preachers did. Went into situations and circumstances and saw people saved and healed and delivered. But because they did not do it through that ministry, they were never accepted. And even if they got it, I have seen pastors that had dedicated their lives in a way that none of the people they were in the presence of did. And yet I seen other pastors treat them like dirt because they were not of their doctrine or their organization. Oh, you ought to see the things that happen. And it's all done in church, of church, with church. And it's not just done in a physical building of church. And that's why it's so important to get your relationship with God, to get very close to him with Jesus Christ and know him. Know him so well that when something else comes along and tells you you can't do this. You can't have this. God won't this. I feel sorry for these people because I know what God is going to do. God is going to reveal the truth to them, and they are going to have to go back to the first works. They are going to have to go back and check out their hearts, or they're not going to make it. They're going to be knocking on the door. And they're going to say, didn't we do this? Didn't we do that? Look at all the money we made. Look at all the people we saved. How did you save them? Where did you take them? If they're anything like me, you weren't responsible for one thing, not one thing that God ever did with me. You were not, you know, like I said, you write books and you do things and they're comforting, and it's like putting a Band-Aid on a real big gash that needs an operation. And they hang on to that for a little while because you taught them how hang on, and keep giving and keep giving and keep doing and keep doing. And I've seen them go to grave like that because Jesus Christ is real. And when you invite him in, he comes. And can you abuse him? Can you misuse him? Can you play with him? No. No, because he won't put up with it. Once you go to him and only him, he's not going to put up with it. That's why a lot of you won't go. That's why a lot of you play around because you enjoy what you're doing far better. Far better. It is something that you have decided this is the way to go. And it is not. It is not. It is not the way to go. It is not the way to be. God gets so weary, and I tell you what, when Jesus Christ said to the disciples, you mean after everything you still don't understand the things of the Spirit? How long will I suffer you? You see, God has different places that you will go to. And even if you get into heaven, you would be very fortunate of the level that you will be on if you do not have a real relationship with him. So make it what you want. Do what you want. But understand, Jesus Christ died for these people. You didn't. When you tell them what your doctrine says and you convince them, you become responsible for them before God. And when you're responsible for them, things that happen are going to fall right on your head. Because you decided this is the way to go. You know, the way to go is walking in the virtue of Jesus Christ, walking in his moral excellence, and get that excellence in here and here, not in authority the way, many people took it and they got the authority. Oh, yeah, they're better than this and they're higher than that, but they never denied the flesh. And because they never denied the flesh, they are stuck in a place that you either have to repent or God is going to deal with you. Because you are now responsible for so many souls that you took money off of and you never helped. You say, my books did the helping at my books. Sure they did. Sure they did. They took him into a little place of never having God the way you do, of never knowing God the way you do. And some of you, like I heard this so-called great black preacher say, well, when they worship me, should I tell them the truth or should I just let them go on? Well, he decided to just let them go on because when they worship him, he don't want to give that up. So he led them into coveting. Go take it. the Jezebel spirit, but he's known all over the world. He's got so many millions of dollars and he's got so many followers because he is for the poor. But yet at the same time, he'll teach you how to covet. He'll teach you how, if you can't get what you want, take it. And if you have to destroy somebody to take it in the spirit because you put forth your hand on them and you crush them and you curse them in such a way that they're like this. They're already like this, but now they're like this. And you love it. And like I said, Jeremiah spoke of you. He said that your priests and kings lie to you and you love it. So because this ability in the so-called Church of God is there with so much power to do these things, then it's released to the people in the world where they don't have no God, they don't follow no God, and all they have is a form of being able uh, to get to take it. It's theirs. To never tell the truth, because if they tell the truth, then they'll lose their followers. They'll lose everything. So they take their small little groups and work with them to destroy, which is what you've done. You get into some churches and they're little cliques. They don't let nobody else in. You have publishing books also sewed up. You have all of this. You have to have this to do this. You have to have that to do that. You've got to be accepted by so and so. All I've got to do is be accepted by God. So if you want to mess around with my life, have at it. Have at it. Because I have a protector. And I've seen so many people, even as far as a terrorist, the kind that wear the masks, have the swords, threaten me and say, for a woman who has no protection, you've got a big mouth. And I laughed. I forget how many years ago this was. And I bust out laughing. And I told them, if you think I have no protection, that's your problem. But I know, if you don't know Jesus Christ, the way he is, not the way you say he is, not the way Hollywood says he is, not the way preachers and teachers in the past have said he is. If you don't know him, because see, you're going to need him to move mountains for you now. So if you don't hear the call to go to him and no one else, to go to God without doctrine, without anything, if you don't hear that call and you still cling on to what you think is God, do it. Have at it, God says. Because it's going to take you a while. But you're going to get this. These things are going to get worse and worse and worse. And suddenly there's going to come a time where you're going to have to admit something is wrong. And you know what's wrong? You don't know him. Get to know. How could you be so ignorant to have somebody tell you, get into the Bible and get to know Jesus Christ and watch what he did and didn't do? And yet you won't go there? Mind-boggling.